and welcome to another episode of Supercast Brothers, the only podcast where there's, well, dead people, apparently. I don't know, shit's weird today, apparently, because we're doing a whole smash and dash thing going on, and it's all about monsters, and why the hell not? I mean, that's what we all are inside, right? I mean, look at me. Can I be any more monstrous than this? I don't know. Jonno, what do you think?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what's up?
Hello.
It's me.
I don't know. You look so alive.
That's an insult. How dare
sorry.
you?
I'm sorry. You look like you just bathed in the 7th pool in the 7th circle of hell.
Why? That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. You're still
Thank
not getting
you.
on the
It's-
Christmas list, though.
It's pretty close. Yeah, I don't know if you celebrate Christmas.
Well, it's kind of hard to, when you don't have a body anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Mhm.
difficult. Life's
Yep.
not the great. I mean, it's not the worst I've had. Getting to this point was kind of the worst. But, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that day well.
What do you mean you remember that day? The fuck?
Sad.
What do
It was a
you...
sad day.
Do you have something you've been trying to tell me for the last 6 years?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I eat the French fry too.
You took my girlfriend? This is a betrayal of the highest order, and I will not stand for it!
I'm just
Partly
trying
because
to
I
work in.
don't have my legs anymore, so I kind of can't. It's unfortunate.
Mhm.
I really wish I had them.
Yeah,
But-
that's exactly why she left you.
You don't gotta be so hurtful about it, okay?
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
isn't easy as a skeleton, alright?
Well, it wasn't really. It was more like. I think it's the lack of. There was something very intriguing about your sternum
Well,
that is now gone.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but I do. I
Favorite
think
part.
she should have appreciated. She should have appreciated more that you are now a floating head and an arm. I think that's pretty. That's pretty cool. That's
Listen,
pretty cool.
Not every skeleton can remain active without all its parts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm fought tooth and nail for the ability. I just want some respect.
I do respect you. I said you looked like you bathed in the lava pits.
Yeah. And you know when I last got to do that?
I don't know.
Me either.
Oh boy. But what a time this has been. It's not even Halloween. Far from it, in fact.
Wait, it's not? Uh-oh.
No, it's
Oh, no.
God,
Oh, that's not
it's
good.
it's roughly April,
Ah!
springtime.
I'm only supposed to be
Mhm.
out on Halloween. I'm supposed to be out, well, and, Friday the 13th. Obviously, I mean, come the fuck on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if it's not Halloween, is it at least a Friday the 13th?
It's the 22nd.
Oh no.
Mhm.
I gotta
A
go.
beautiful Saturday.
I gotta go talk to my boss. I'm gonna be in so much trouble. Later.
Oh God. Guess it's not a surprise that they still have the work hierarchy and bosses in hell.
So did you start the episode without me, or what's going on here? Like, why have we been recording for like 5 minutes? I told you
There
I was
was
gonna
a
be
special-
late.
There was a special session in order. Somebody was here. Yeah, we'll work it out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
I'm
in a
concerned.
few. It was fine. It was fine. It was.
I'm mostly
it was good.
concerned because the recording starts on my computer, and I didn't click record. So what the fuck?
Mhm. Well, who did? Your girlfriend?
My what?
No. Well, we'll get to it in a few years. It's okay.
What the hell do you know that I don't?
You have a girlfriend, apparently.
I fucking wish I knew.
Would have been news to either of us if either of us had one in the last decade. But
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
I forgot how old I was. I was like, wait, no, in the last decade. Oh, wait, no, that would be longer than a decade.
Yep.
Whoopsie.
Speaking of hell, God, I gotta hand it to you. I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't expect that. All you said was turn around, and then you were talking funny. I was like, okay, this is not that unusual. I was like, oh, okay.
The funny thing is, I knew I was gonna bring up the skull and the head and the arm, but the voice just came out. That was not part of the plan. I think that might come from the fact that I've been watching a lot of the Monkey Island games recently, and there's a talking skull in that game who's a real asshole. He's a real ass. So I think I was channeling a little bit of that energy. And then it was also kind of heavy to just hold that skull up for a while. I had to switch my hands a couple times. But yeah, it's like the skull said. It's Mash or Dash, and we're having a bit of a monster mash with it tonight.
Wait, you know about the skull?
Well, yeah, it's Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. It's a movie.
Oh, my favorite film.
Shia LaBeouf.
Hopefully the dial of destiny is a little better. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so. I found it funny in the trailer. He was just like, I don't really believe in magic. It's like, sir, you have a whole movie about meeting aliens. What the hell? What the hell?
It's like, yeah, that was negotiated out in the reboot. It's okay.
Yeah. And then they were also referencing like, oh yeah, the Holy Grail or whatever it was called. I think it was Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of the Ark of the Covenant. It's like, yeah, the thing that people touched it and then their brains melted. I think that might borderline a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're doing a bit of a monster-themed episode. Funny thing is, you mentioned Halloween. This episode was originally supposed to air near Halloween, and then we got the grand idea to, why don't we just start each season, Smash or Dashes, with characters that either premiered or were focused on in the last year, so it got pushed back later in the year. It's fine. Who cares?
Thank God we had the platform for Rabid Mario back in the day.
Yeah, you could have picked a better character for that one.
There were times that we made mistakes. Our girlfriends know that.
Yeah, it's fair.
This one goes out to you, baby.
You're not watching this, but if you are, why? I mean, I'm legitimately curious.
She's just so interested in what you're doing, she's your girlfriend.
Hard no. Anywho, so Smash or Dash, Rates or Chances, everything is going to be themed somehow around monsters today. We tried to cover as many different types of monsters as we could, but sometimes, the things with video games and really just other media, the monsters usually don't have a big focus on them. They're usually just like NPCs or one-off bosses. But there were some good options. There were a few good options, but trying to not overly represent any one series or any one type of monster was where we started to have some issues where it's like, okay, well, I guess we do this character because we've done everything else, so I guess we're left with this one. Sure. We'll get there.
Indeed.
All right.
We will.
So, Jonno,
yeah.
Are you ready for our first Rate Their Chances of the night?
Oh boy, am I.
I've
been training for this.
Really? How have you been training for this?
I drank apple cider and talked to a skull man. I think anything's possible.
Ah, yes.
Here's the apple cider now.
And here's not the skull man, but my own drink.
Would you drink from out of a skull if you had the opportunity?
The blood of my enemies. Oh, you said what?
Yeah.
Would I? I think I also answered that.
I could just go for a Coke.
Well, that's not. Well, then you should go see Cocaine Bear.
I'm tempted.
Apparently, people are saying it's really good. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna be my kind of movie. I might watch it like not in a theater at all. It's like, hey, somebody comes up, it's like, hey, you want to watch this movie? It's like, what is it? Cocaine Bear. It's like, well, I'm not paying it. You brought it, so sure, I guess.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Ray Liotta, right? I wish that were one of my final movies that I made. Like, holy cow.
All I know is that that's a name that is mentioned in the Jack the Ripper versus Hannibal Lecter Epic Rap Alto History. So,
Yep.
I don't know if that's a character or an actor. I'm assuming it's an actor from how you were saying it. But all I know is...
It's a man who was dead, yes. He was actually here. You didn't see him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. All I know is Hannibal Lecter has a line that says, pick Ray Liotta's brain, find out how I get mine. I don't remember what that's in context. So I think it's about, like, food or a drink or something. I don't know. What if Hannibal Lecter was in Smash Brothers?
Time to change that subject. Oh, boy.
You sure? I think he's Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. They don't call it the Forgotten Land for nothing, because I'm going to forget this conversation ever happened.
But you can never forget that there will be brawl.
Yeah.
The first time Matthew Mercer has voiced Ganondorf, we were all surprised when there was a second. It's like, fuck, what? What?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Oh.
Good times. Good times.
Anyways.
Game's almost out.
Raise their chances. First monstrous character. Let us see who it is going to be. From the NES days, an enemy that was once just I think they were a boss, or maybe they're just like a normal enemy that a knight fought against that then somehow got their own game? Still not sure how that happened. It's Firebrand, also known as the Red Aramar, from Ghosts and Goblins and Gargoyles Quest, and also Demon's Quest, which is, I'm assuming the sequel to Gargoyles Quest 1 and 2.
Yep, on the Super Nintendo.
Yep. So this guy is like a demon gargoyle. From his design, that's what it looks like. He's also... I was surprised when he was made one of the playable characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Actually, well, Ultimate NBC 3. I was just like, really? Huh. Not something I would have figured. It's like, okay. I mean, at least, he's got his own games. But still would not have been a character that I would have ever predicted. I don't think. Maybe if I was making like... No, I don't think I'd even go with it if I was picking like maybe if I picked like 100 Capcom characters, he might have been in the top 100. Maybe. But threw me for a damn loop. I don't really know much about him and what he can do. Except in, MVC3 terms, he's got fireballs, he can fly, he can swing his claws around. Smash wise, I don't see it. If we're gonna get a Ghosts and Goblins character, we're gonna get Arthur. But
of course,
I guess theoretically, if he really wants a monstrous character, it's not the worst option.
Yeah, in a world where we get 2 Ghosts and Goblins characters, Firebrand is an easy second option.
True. I mean, who else is gonna be Astaroth? That'd be number 3, probably. I guess.
Yeah. So Firebrand does have some pedigree to him in the scope of like horror puzzle platform games. The Red Armor being one of the most pestilent characters to fight in Ghosts and Goblins. It's the one that, like the Angry Sun, follows you around relentlessly throughout levels, and is and has been regarded at times as iconic for that reason. So they said, let's make our most notorious enemy the protagonist of a few games. And he's not a good guy. Even in the Gargoyles Quest games, he is collecting items that'll help save the ghoul realm, but he's still a ghoul that Arthur would kill, that he would fight. And And in Demon's Crest as well, he is collecting gems that'll make him more powerful and potentially become like a king of demon kind, essentially. So it's his own avarice that powers his adventures, which is an interesting plot point, I think, for a platformer where normally you're playing specifically as a good guy. It kind of reminds me of, although to a lesser degree, what is the name of the game? The one where you play as the monstrous blob, the Metroidvania.
Oh, the one that was put on like the pole for me to play games of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't. Carrion.
Yeah, kind of like that, only not at all. But
Yeah,
the bad guy.
I've found some screenshots of Gargoyle's Quest, and it's like, first of all, this is a Game Boy game, like classic Game Boy, and it looks like the overworld that you're running around on looks like it's straight out of a Final Fantasy, like original Final Fantasy. Like, what the hell? Or like, or like in Zelda-esque in that as well. It looks like a Zelda game.
I'd forgotten that there's top-down portions. Yeah,
mostly that's wild.
But...
Even Gargoyle's Quest is platformer.
Yeah. Yes.
None of these screenshots look like platformer, but there's only a few screenshots there.
To my recollection, let me quickly see here. Yeah, okay, I wasn't going crazy. So yeah, the top down is the overworld, and then
you go into levels a la Zelda 2.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Precisely. I'll give Gargoyle's Quest this. It is better than Zelda 2.
All right.
Anywho.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the characters' chances go, they're not very high.
Nope.
I think the
Arthur's got to get in first, and then it's going to be like, all right, so we want to add a second Ghosts and Goblins character?
Didn't we talk about Arthur for Rate Their Chances as well?
I'd have to check, but I feel like that sounds... Yeah, we did last season. We gave Arthur a 10% chance. We both said 10%.
Okay, so Firebrand is getting less than 10% because he's definitely lower than Arthur.
If I could go... See, the sad thing is like, I feel like 1% is too high compared to Arthur's 10%, but we can't go lower than 1%. But I also don't like how often... it's not really that often, but I also don't like how often we kind of give 1%. It bothers me, but there's no other option. It's like, what else am I going to say? 2%? That sounds a little crazy there. I don't know. But then there's other characters that we've said 1% for. It's like, kind of think Firebrand has better chances than some of those. Like, I'm sorry to say it, he's got a better chance than Pablo Sanchez, and that makes me sad inside. And we give Pablo 1%. That's the problem with Rate Their Chances sometimes.
In that case, I will put in my answer. Firebrand has appeared in 3 of his own games. I'm going to give him a 3%.
I'm still going to go with 1%.
Okay. What does that average out to? Because I can't do
42%.
Oh my god.
Wait, hold on. I added an extra 40. It's 2%.
Oh, no. Yeah. Firebrand's brought the milk home.
Yes, I guess.
Imagine baby Firebrand, if you will. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. I like that in my Mario Kart. Anyway.
I think you would prefer this in your Mario Kart. A character we both know a bit better than Firebrand. A character that very nearly made it in already once. We've talked about a demon gargoyle creature. Let's chat about a vampire. Alucard of Castlevania.
Oh, buddy.
What the interesting thing with Alucard is, first of all, we know he is one of, if not the most popular playable character in Castlevania. The only things that might surpass him would be the Belmonts in general. I don't know which Belmont specifically, but I would not be surprised if Alucard individually beats out all the Belmonts and just in terms of popularity. But
He does.
Again, not surprised. The only difficulty with him in Smash is Smash Ultimate already gave us Simon and Richter, and Sakurai considered Alucard. He thought about adding an Alucard instead of a Belmont, but he decided to go with. I don't know if he said his reasoning, but he decided to go with the Belmont instead. Now, if we keep Simon and Richter, Alucard is the natural choice for the next character. Who else is it going to be? Maria Renard? Grant the Nasty? I don't think so. I don't think so. Shanoa? Soma Cruz?
I wish.
Not compared to Alucard. It's him. It's got to be him. But do we get that third Castlevania character? We talk about this a lot with third-party franchises that already haven't Smash. Like, are they going to get another character or not? And depending on the franchise, the answer kind of changes a little bit. Castlevania is one that I could potentially see it happening for a couple reasons. One, it's fucking Alucard. And two, we could see a repeat of the Cloud and Sephiroth situation where Konami's like, you want the Belmonts back? Okay. But you're going to have to put in another one. And the next, like, okay, Alucard then. It's like, yep.
We've bargained for less.
Dormammu.
Yep.
I've come for Alucard.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great character. The most popular in the Castlevania franchise. And Castlevania, I would say it's just a hair below a couple of other series in the third-party bracket that I would say have more of a chance. Sonic and Mega Man come to mind. Tails probably, or Eggman, something like that, and then like.
That reminds me,
Zero.
we need to cover here real briefly. We realized after the fact, after the last match episode, that we actually that was the second time we've done Tails as a Rate Their Chances character, because we did him last season as well. And whoopsies, that's on me, because I picked the Rate Their Chances character for that episode, and I just didn't even realize it. And in the last match test, we gave Tails a 65%, but last season we gave him 80%. Why we all went down, I'm not sure, but we did. Maybe the Sonic movie was fresher in our minds back then. That could have been it.
True. Make a grand average for Tails now?
Not times 80. That's definitely wrong. If we just combined 65 and 80, it'd be 72.5%. But if we combined each reading individually, I wonder what that would change. $71%.
All right. Well, congratulations, Tails. We brought your average down.
And up.
And up. It's been quite a ride. Kind of like this, the ride that is the quality of Sonic games per game.
Sonic 06 is a masterpiece. We know it. It's true.
I love it. Yeah, the one thing that I always wanted to see was Sonic the Hedgehog kissing a human girl.
I mean, yeah. The furry's got to get a win someday.
Speaking of Alucard, Castlevania's up there, though. Like, I think it has a better chance of getting into the character than Metal Gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a few others.
Pac-Man. Minecraft.
Yeah.
ARMS.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
Not a third party, but it was still a DLC, so I said it.
He's a very popular character, and we've seen the rule broken for Sephiroth on the same basis, essentially. And at least Alucard's not from the same exact games.
It's true. It's true.
Yep. But it's still Sephiroth. So it's like, yeah. On one hand, really hype. On the other, like, really, really crazy.
Yeah.
On the other hand, whoa, what?
Yeah. Break the internet in multiple fucking ways.
Including on Wooden Plank Studios Smash Comic.
Man, those guys.
Still
the fact
going
they
strong.
did that.
Still going strong. I've been enjoying their Paldea arc as well. That's been entertaining.
Yep.
Maybe the best thing to come out of the last Pokemon games.
I mean, they're not.
Of course.
They're better than Sword and Shield.
Thank God. I mean, it's obviously a lot of fun, at the very least. Which is that not why we play games? Alucard, very popular character in a popular franchise. It's probably like mid-tier out of the third parties to maybe get a second full character. Upper mid-tier maybe. Or maybe just below Sonic and Mega Man.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a higher tier one. Because it's like, it's not going to be Banjo-Kazooie. The way that they did Dragon Quest here, it's not going to be that. Final Fantasy, I mean, if they don't do it in Final Fantasy 7, I think that's a higher tier. Sonic is up there. Mega Man is up there. Street Fighter, I would put below Castlevania at this point. But they could whip out a Chun-Li or an M. Bison.
Easily, yeah.
Pac-Man and Minecraft are down at the bottom. Metal Gear... Bayonetta... Mid to low, I would say. Roughly in the same area as Metal Gear, I think, for different reasons.
Yeah, Konami says, you want the Belmont guys back? Why don't you put in Venom Snake? Okay. At least he got a rocket arm. Yeah, he's got the pedigree, so I don't think that it's necessarily low chances. It's just the ambiguity of being an additional third party. It's kind of still unsearched territory. Right.
But if they did go to Castlevania, Alucard is the choice. Unless they wanted to go through a curveball and be like, okay, we had Sephiroth be our second Final Fantasy character, so let's have Dracula be the second or third, I guess, Castlevania character and go down the whole villain choice. It's like, hey, the hero and the villain. And that's why, like, the next Sonic character will be Dr. Eggman. The next Mega Man character will be Sigma.
That would be weird.
It would be.
But yeah. Dracula would be so badass. I would not be against it.
Yeah.
At all. Holy cow. But I do think, looking at it through the lens now, Alucard is such a legacy character for the franchise. It's such a well-regarded video game character in general. And now animated series character. I think he's the best character out of that show as well. To me, he's up there.
Didn't have the best arcs, though.
No. I don't know who I am.
They did Alucard dirty. Best arcs went to Simon and Sypha. Easily.
Yeah. I could see that.
Simon. Trevor and Sypha.
Yeah, I think like season...
The season where he was trading the two twins was bad.
I am leaning above 40%, I think, right now.
Interesting.
Fairly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hovering around the 40 to 50. 50 felt too high to me. But 40, well, it is a low percent, comparatively speaking. For him and his situation, I think 40 is actually pretty fucking good.
I'm actually going to split a little bit because at first, when I was feeling really zealous about it, I was going up towards maybe like Tails' numbers from our last semester. I was going into like 60. But then I was thinking, it's not Sonic, it's Castlevania. So I'm going to say like 47.
47? Okay. All right. Well, that is going to average out to 43.5%.
Cheerio.
Indeed. All right. So, when you're on a roller coaster and you got to start low, then you go high, and you go plummeting down low again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this next character, you're going to start with this one because I literally don't know where the fuck to take this. So tell the world about Bad Mr. Frosty from Clay Fighters.
He's one bad snowman from the Clay Fighters series of fighting games. It's Bad Mr. Frosty, once an ordinary snowman before a Claytarian meteor hit Playland. What began as an ordinary snowman turned into Bad Mr. Frosty. There's actually paragraphs of lore on the Clay Fighters wiki that I'm not going to read right now. But that's the general gist of it. His attacks are grappling based, it seems, along with like throwing snowballs and balls of ice, and having ice breath and rising an ice platform from out of the ground. When he holds people, they call it the snow cone hold, and when he his super moves are the Snowplow, Hurricane Flurry, and Frozen Frenzy. He also has a series of Claytalities. So that's Bad Mr. Frosty.
What? He also got ice breath and what? I got why? He likes pizza, but he hates fire. And okay, his sex is listed as clay. Didn't know that was one of the two genders, or whatever the joke is for that. It's like, oh yeah, idea. It's like it's the book is it's like, oh yeah, jokes for guys, jokes for girls, jokes for tricycles. It's like, oh yes, 3 genders. It's like, what? All right.
Jokes for clay.
I don't.
His arch enemy is Sumo Santa.
What?
They fought each other on the top of the freezing fortress, as well as in Frosty's workshop.
And the game is called Clay Fighter 63.5. Because it was on the Nintendo 64, and they were trying to be funny.
Very ironic.
I feel like I feel like Clay Fighters is supposed to be a parody of fighting games. That's the vibe I'm getting.
He's the overall protagonist of the Clay Fighter series, apparently. So he chose the right one.
I guess.
Yeehaw! The hot-headed villain later switches sides after coming to his senses and saves the world.
See, when we were talking earlier about percents and, how sometimes we have, like, multiple characters that are 1%, it's like, man, this don't feel right, because one of these characters has better chances than the other. I would like to bring that conversation back and say that Firebrand has better chances than Bad Mr. Frosty. And they are infinitely higher. Infinitely higher. and yet, we can't go lower than a 1%. So according to our tracking, Firebrand is only well, yeah, you can't really do the math. You can't really do the math like that. Firebrand is only going to be barely more likely than Bad Mr. Frosty, and that does not work in my brain.
No, it doesn't.
1%, and I wish it could go lower.
60%.
No, you're not.
Sorry, 63.5%.
Nope. We can't do halves. That's part of the rules.
1%.
Okay. What the fuck? This is why sometimes I can't let you pick the characters. Because you throw this shit at me, it's like, okay. Alright.
The roller coaster's going back up, my friend.
We're going back up with this one. We're bringing in a character we discussed before for Smasher Dash, but let's see how we feel about Marks from Kirby. One of several Eldritch puffballs from Kirby. The main one being Kirby himself. Let's be real, Kirby is an Eldritch abomination. It's just a fact. And Marks is another one. But we don't really know. We don't think he's the same species. He doesn't have arms, for one thing. But he's a little son of a bitch jester. He's like, hey, Kirby, the Sun and Moon are fighting. You should go stop them. Okay. and then he becomes a demon. And it's like, I control the world now. The wishes are mine. And he grows wings, and he's a fucking nightmare.
Like,
yes.
my God.
And then Sekra is just like, you're gonna be one of the new bosses in Smash, and they do a great job with it. It's really well done. All of the new bosses they added into Smash Ultimate, well, most of the new bosses they added into Smash Ultimate are fucking amazing with how they did them. Marks is great. Ganon is a bit of a pain in the ass, but he's pretty good. Dracula's amazing. Rathalos. But Marks is great. I'm forgetting I feel like I'm forgetting something, but maybe I'm not. Because we also had the bring back of Galleon came back, and Porky Rayquaza didn't, but something else did. I don't remember what.
It wasn't Duon.
No.
PD?
Was Galleon the only Brawl boss to come back?
I'm pretty sure.
Huh. I guess so.
Somewhere along the way, Marx wrote some pretty interesting political theory as well.
Yeah, those were he was a dark period in his life. He thought he had a friend, but then Kirby kicked his ass. It's like, oh, okay. But things got better when he became a dream friend, or whatever the fuck it's called in Star Allies. And it's like, hey, I'm your ally now. It's like, are you gonna try to rule the world again? Nope. Okay, I trust you.
It's a good thing I don't have hands.
Yeah.
They're even trying to wipe Magolor's slate clean and with Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which I have not played yet.
Yeah. There's a whole side mode after you beat the game where you're pretty much it's Magolor's redemption arc. It's like, alright, well, I mean, you guys gave it to Mark, so fine. Fine.
They're like, we really want Magolor in Smash, even though he just looks so... Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, him and Marks have a very similar design. If you really look at it, they're both balls with dreamy clothes.
Yeah, and Magolor himself is a ripoff of Marx's entire plotline.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah, I could see it, but I would prefer Marx. I
would as well. Like we've talked before about how Marx is our most wanted Kirby character to add to Smash. Above Bandanity, above Adelaine, above Magolor, above everyone else. Marx is who we would like to see.
The above a Woofy.
Yep.
Just all of them. Yeah. My question is, and I think I said this when we did the Smasher Dash for him as well, he made it very far in the Tournament of Champions that year that he was in as well. Had a respectable finish, I think, in like 3rd or 4th place. The question that I have is Marx better suited to a boss? If we see him return in Smash, will it be in a boss fight?
If the next Smash comes around and Marx is not a character, but he's a boss, I won't be like disappointed. Like, I would obviously prefer him to be a character. Same thing with like assist trophies that get relegated to just being assist trophies or whatnot. Like, I would always prefer him to be a character, but a boss is still a great way for Marx to be represented. It would be very fair for him. I'd be okay with it. But at the same time, Giga Bowser, Ganon, they start as playable characters and they morph into their boss forms. Marx could do the same thing.
That's true. That is very true. I was gonna maybe make the argument that Marx's biggest enemy is himself. Like, are they looking at this and saying, yeah, they're like, oh, would he just make more sense as a boss? We already have the assets, we can adapt him, and arguably because he's a memorable boss, he's not memorable for being playable in Star Allies. We'll just keep him as a boss. But
I got a big one. But what's yours?
I was just going to go on a tangent about other Kirby characters that have popularity as well. So what about you?
Ridley. We had the Ridley Boston Brawl. We had a Meta Ridley Boston Brawl. We had a Phazon Ridley, or whatever the fuck he's called in Other M, Clone Ridley or some shit. Stage boss in Smash 4. And then finally we get him as a character. Precedence there.
Yeah.
Plus we've had an assist trophy become a playable character. Little Mac.
Dark Samus.
I knew there was another one.
Although
who it was offhand.
that halfway counts.
Yeah.
Because ironically enough, the Dark Samus assist trophy had unique moves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so if Mark's greatest enemy isn't necessarily himself, or, it's up there. The boss fight is up there. They could easily go that route. Do they pick Marks over Bandanity? In what world do they do that?
In the world where Sakurai only adds Kirby content from games that he worked on.
Which is becoming more funny and possibly petty as the years go on because it's been so long now.
Yeah.
It's like Sakurai.
We were going to get an Epic Yard stage, and then it got turned into Woolly World. It's like,
yeah,
you were almost there. You were almost there to breaking it.
It's like, Sakurai, just sit down and play Forgotten Land. just play Forgotten Land.
Forgotten Land
Everything
is good.
will be okay.
Yeah, I get, I understand his point about like how not everything needs sequels and whatnot. That sometimes making new IPs or whatever, but that doesn't mean all the Kirby games after you were bad.
Some of them sure were, but most of them were pretty damn good.
What's the worst Kirby game? Not counting the weird spin-offs like Canvas Curse.
Honestly, probably, and I don't know why. Besides, the first Dreamland is such an easy thing because it's so early on. He doesn't even have copy abilities. So if we're going that, probably Amazing Mirror. People called it meandering.
Really? I thought it was a liked one.
That's the thing. It is well liked by the fans. It was critically panned. When I played as a kid, I quite liked it. It's going to be interesting to play it again on NSO. See what we decide then. But again, I mean, Kirby actually has it knows what it is. It's really easy most of the time, so that's kind of to the detriment for long-term fans. But the formula works.
Yeah.
Even after Sakurai was gone. Crystal Swords was a little weaker. Amazing Mirror was a little weaker. Squeak Squad was awesome. Planet Robobot was amazing. Mass Attack. Spin-off, but extremely good. Extremely good spin-off. Planet Robobot was amazing. Probably actually my favorite 2D Kirby. Sorry, Sakurai.
I mean, they're all 2D except for Forbidden Land.
Yeah.
And Air Ride.
Which is why it's kind of being graded on a scale for me right now because it's so unique to Kirby right now. But I'm sure it won't be for long. We're gonna get more 3D Kirby now.
They proved that they can work. A lot of game series struggled in the adaptation from going 2D to 3D. Sonic is one that struggled with that. But Mario knocked it out, and honestly, Kirby knocked it out.
Yeah.
Zelda obviously also knocked it out. In Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Kirby did knock it. Yeah, it did. Absolutely. Kirby really knocked it out of the park. That was an easy 10 out of 10 game for me last year. Of the games that I played last year, I think I would revise what I said about my game of the year because I've barely touched Splatoon 3, even though I love Splatoon. And I played all the way through Kirby. That was the only game that I played all the way through last year.
Yeah. The thing with Splatoon 3 is like, I very much enjoyed the single player, but I barely touched the multiplayer because I got the experience that in Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. And yeah, there are some changes, but the multiplayer was part of, it's fine, it's good, but I'm not very good at it. So it was the choice of like struggle in the multiplayer or move on to another game.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess back to Mark's, I do think his chances, I mean, looking in the grand scope of things, the single character that I think is probably more likely than him is Bandana D.
Yeah. Easily.
Then after that, it's a wash. Like you have Marks, you have Megalore, you have whoever
Susie.
the hell else. Mm-hmm.
The animal buddies.
Yeah. But it's all kind of in this blob, like, oh, this can work. And in that blob, I think Marks is one of the more popular characters. There's this strange attachment to Magalore, but he's up there. I would say Marks is probably top 4 or 5 at worst, because like Adeline, Magalore, but he's up there.
I'm going to put the prediction out there that I think the reason Magalore is talked about so much is because people who are into the Smash speculating scene right now, for them, they were of the age where Return to Dreamland was their first Kirby game. I'm just gonna guess that that's probably why Magalore. It's like a lot of times people go like, "Oh, what's your favorite Pokemon?" It's generally what was the Pokemon game when they first got into it, when they were of that age to get into Pokemon. That's their favorite for most people. And that's my guess with Magalore.
That's fair. That's fair. But Bandanity's appeal has been evergreen for long enough where I think that it's almost a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, like as much as we want Marks, I would be surprised if the next Smash game adds a Kirby character and it's not Bandanity.
Definitely. So what does that say for Marks' chances? Because I don't personally think we're getting 2 Kirby characters.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it was Day-to-Day and MetaNet we were missing, yeah, we were going to get both of them. But at this point, I don't think we'll get 2 in one game, especially if we have any chance of another Everyone Is Here. No fucking way. But and I'm not comparing Marks to Bandanity for this because I don't like looking at previous characters' scores. Except for, like, sometimes I'll look at it like in the same season. But, like, last season was last season. But with Marks, I'm gonna go 35%. I think he's got a decent chance, I think. Because Sakurai could, again, there's the whole, hey, Bandanity, I didn't work on the game where you were playable kind of deal. That's possible.
He wasn't.
But then also, Marks.
Yeah, he wasn't Superstar.
Yeah, but he wasn't playable.
True.
He wasn't an ally to Kirby at the time. But Marks, they have a lot that they can easily build off of Marks. So I'm going to say 35.
35? That's fair. Feeling generous today, I'm going to give our boy a 40.
Okay. All right. That will bring it down to 37.5%.
Sweet.
All right. Last character. And as we saw with, roller coasters, low, high, low, high. Then you'd go low, but maybe not. We'll see. Because we've gone from Demon Gargoyle to Vampire to Abominable Snowman, more or less, to Eldritch Nightmare to, wait a minute, you're not a monster. You're a monster hunter. But not that monster hunter. It's Freak West from Dead Rising, who also technically qualifies as zombie because he does get infected with the zombie virus. He just, got that good old Zombex patch to stave off the infection. No, I think there's a mode where you can play as zombie Frank, though. So
that does not surprise me. That's funny. That's funny.
Also, I realized we have 3 Capcom characters in this. Rate their chances. Wait, no, we don't. No, we just have 2. Why was I thinking Alucard is a Capcom character? Because they would treat him better. That's why. Anyways.
Yeah. Put him in Darkstalkers. There you go.
Ooh. Yeah, let's bring back Darkstalkers with a crossover. You put in Firebrand. You put in Frank West. You put in Alucard. Hell yeah, let's do it.
Put in Bad Mr. Frosty.
Put in Bad Mr. Frosty. Yep, sure. Why not? Sure.
Capping it off at Frank West. Not the worst character we could have done.
Oh,
Imagine
no.
if Bad Mr. Frosty were in this spot.
It would not be exciting. Anyhoodle. Frank West, he's covered wars. It's the thing. He gets trapped in the Willamette Parkview Mall, or whatever the fuck it's called. And, oh no, zombies! Well, kind of take out your baseball bat, take some photos, and get the scoop of the year.
Yes, sir.
and then
Yes,
get
sir.
infected. But Frank is interesting. He's been playable in a couple of the versus Capcom games. I think he was actually in 3 of them at this point because he was in Tatsunoko first, and then he was in MVC 3 and Ultimate, and then I think he was also in Infinite. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was in Marvel Capcom Infinite. I might be wrong. Maybe he was cut from that one. Infinite roster was weird.
Bad.
We all know it. We all know it.
Mm-hmm.
But Frank West, I think, could work in Smash super well. They could even do like his level up mechanic if they want to with him taking pictures. He's got the baseball bat. He's got some weird ass weaponry. He can put on a Mega Man X suit and fire the Mega Buster, which is weird to me. He can slam things with the shopping cart. They can even pull from the later Dead Rising games that let you combine items together. I was like, okay, we got an ore paddle plus a chainsaw, and now we've got a fucking chainsaw polearm weapon. Let's fucking go!
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Why not? He is a fun character. I think the first time I was ever exposed to him was Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Weirdly enough, I was like, "Who is this guy? And why does he keep saying he's covered wars?"
Because he has.
Because he has. He's a famous journalist. Apparently, there was a Dead Rising movie on Crackle, by the way.
What?
Which does
What's
not look very good, to
Crackle?
be honest with you. It's another app, apparently.
Oh.
Dead Rising Watchtower. But yeah, he has the menagerie. You know, he has all this crazy crap that he could use to fight off opponents. Like the Resident Evil characters on the Smashtopia wiki, I think that him shoving a zombie towards somebody like in the versus Capcom games would be.
That's what Jill did in
apropos.
MVC 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Put on the Surfbot mask. Call it a day. He's a really kooky character. Unlike a lot of these, unlike The Last of Us, for instance, or Resident Evil, which Resident Evil's very B movie, but they handle it pseudo seriously. Dead Rising, it's almost
It's a comedy.
with it. The way that he acts, the way that he fights, it's all very uncanny.
It'd be borderline Zombieland. Like Frank West would fit
Mhm.
into the Zombieland world pretty well.
He would. He would. But as far as his chances go, he's a Capcom character. And being a Capcom character means you have the Capcom Cabal. He is fighting Ace Attorney. He is fighting Okami. He's fighting more Mega
Evil.
Man, more Street Fighter, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter. A lot. After you mow through those franchises, maybe it's more of a chance.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not super low tier, but he's not in the upper echelons.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you compare, like, oh, is Frank gonna get in, or is Phoenix Wright gonna get in? Is Frank gonna get in, or is Dante gonna get in? Yeah. I think in both those cases, the other character has the upper hand. And especially with Dante still in play, or, oh, we want Zero to be playable. We want Chun-Li to be playable. That's where his chances start to go down the roller coaster.
It's unfortunate.
As cool as he would be. Capcom just has such a great cast of characters and series under their belt. There's so much to choose from, and like nothing would be a wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's
like when you talk about like comic book villains, people are just like, "Oh, Batman has the best rogues gallery."
Mm-hmm.
Well, comparatively, Capcom has like the best collection of characters outside of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So Frank, I hate to do it to him, but I don't think his chances are super high.
Yeah, they really aren't, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they were great because he'd be fun. He'd be really fun to play as. Arguably better than other Capcom characters that have better odds. I think he could be more fun to play as. but his chances
I would
are not
actually
great.
rather. I would actually rather have Frank. I would definitely rather have Frank than another Street Fighter character. I would rather have Frank than another Mega Man character, unless it's from Battle Network, which is not happening.
Yeah, my Battle Network bias fights that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then there's Frank West versus Amaterasu, and we probably would be opposite there. Not because I dislike Amaterasu, but because I think Frank West, personality-wise, would just be like, let's go.
Speaking of personalities, I think I may prefer Frank to Dante. Personally.
Whoo!
Personally.
All right, we're losing our fans at this point.
But to Phoenix, I don't know. But I don't think
it's
so.
funny because you were talking about Phoenix, and I'm just like, I was thinking it's like Frank might have better odds than Phoenix. He might. I could see it.
If Ace Attorney weren't so Nintendo driven, I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more alive than Dead Rising is at this point.
It was always dead, but the dead have risen many times.
4 times.
Even on Crackle. 5 if you include the movie.
5. Man, it kind of makes me want a Dead Rising movie now. That'd be good.
A better movie, yeah.
Or TV show. Give me like a series.
That'd be cool. That'd be fun.
Hey, if Last of Us can get a series, Dead Rising can get a series. We haven't yet broken the well of zombie franchises. We can do more. I'd rather see a Dead Rising show than a Resident Evil show. All right, we just lost more fans.
The Resident Evil show tanked on Netflix, so
it's true. It's true. I forgot about that.
Of course, they just didn't do it right. It was very confusing. They had like unnecessary time jumps everywhere. For some reason, they focused on Wesker's kids. It's like, okay, yeah. I had no problem.
They always
with the casting.
they always want to change the source material so much. It's like, listen, we get sometimes something's got to be shifted. We get it. But when we start changing things just to change them, when the only thing that's relatable to the source material is the names, and sometimes not even that, it's not going to succeed.
I was actually quite looking forward to seeing Lance Reddick as Wesker. I think he's a really strong actor, in Fringe and a few other things that I've seen with him in it. And he wasn't the problem. I'll give him that much. He was not the problem with the show.
Yeah, it was the script.
The problem with the show was the story. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. So sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I'd rather see a Dead Rising show too. Especially because The Last of Us is doing so well. We don't need another serious zombie film. Or zombie show right now.
Give us a comedy zombie show. Oh.
Yep. And I don't just mean certain seasons of Walking Dead. Because that wasn't meant to be a comedy. It just kind of was.
It's true.
Oh, boy. But Frank West... I respect you, Frank, so that's why I'm going to give you a 10%.
Fair enough. I was feeling 15 myself.
Okay.
All right, so 15, 10, 12.5%.
Better than Firebrand, so he's in good company.
Which is appropriate. He fucking has a better chance than Firebrand. Hard. Easy.
Imagine the next Smash comes out. Introducing Firebrand.
I quit. We're done. Dude,
we probably have like 4 to 5 years before that happens, so we're still going.
I mean, eventually we're going to get tired of this. It may not be this year. It may not be in 2 years. But eventually we either get tired of it or one of us dies. And I'm gonna need to append my contract. You cannot weekend at Bernie's me for the podcast.
But you were just here at the start of the podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about. I came on and we were already in the middle of the recording and I was really confused.
This is exactly why, audio listeners, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that there's some of you who actually consistently listen to this show. We were very surprised by this, and I'm still not quite over it. But
you missed out on the visual gags, unfortunately. At the very least, watch the first 5 minutes of this one on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, like, just the first minute so you can see the context.
Mm-hmm. That's the only ask, because these episodes, some podcasts like to do like, oh, the audio's out now, and in 5 days the video version comes out. We release our audio and video same day, so if you're listening to this now, go on the video. Yeah.
Sometimes we miss the upload, and it's like, hey, this was supposed to go up 2 days ago. It's like, fuck.
Oh, they've noticed. They were disappointed, but Spotify doesn't have a comment section.
Which is too bad. I want to see comments.
Me too. Which is another reason why maybe if you're a dedicated listener, you can follow us on YouTube and comment on YouTube.
Or on the Facebook channel. Or emailing us at...
You can just email me, I guess, at jfromwriter@gmail.com.
Yep, that's the one.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, main event.
Main event is the unique skill that the Trickster has in Dead by Daylight, where he throws a bunch of knives at once. But that's not what we're talking about here today. Oh man, we could have done a Dead by Daylight character. Fuck! God damn it!
What? Why didn't we think of that? There was so much contention over whether to have Bad Mr. Frosty in this episode or not.
Fuck!
I was like, let's do Bad Mr. Frosty.
Because we already did it. We did rate their chances on the Trapper already, and he got a 1%. But
the Dead by Daylight, they're all going to get 1%.
We could have done it on the on the Smasher Dash though. Aw, I'm sad now. Anyways, instead we've got for you 2 characters that are both have infinitely more chances than the Trapper or any character from Dead by Daylight. Beginning off, we've got Freddy Fazbear from Five Nights at Freddy's. Yep, we're doing it. We're talking about Freddy here. It's a I forgot the word, an animatronic. Don't let him catch you, because he's going to kill you. He's going to put you in an animatronic shell because he thinks that you are supposed to be one, and it's going to be a bad day for you. His opponent is a ghost. It's Sissel from Ghost Trick, a game that I played recently, and it was a lot of fun. So, we forgot to discuss who's going to do the intro for each character, but fuck you, I'm taking Sissel, and you can just eat my shit.
We're supposed to talk about that after the podcast.
Ah, fuck, my bad.
Yeah. Freddy Fazbear, the titular character from the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, which has grown immensely more popular, and with a number of games that are still being churned out every couple years, to the point that there's some sort of lore where there's like an alternate version of Freddy that's a good guy. There's what, like, it's just like so nutty. The initial idea for Five Nights at Freddy's, I can see why it happened. It's one of those really entertaining kind of fad games where you're like, oh, you're in a demented Chuck E. Cheese, as if Chuck E. Cheese were not demented enough already. And the characters are trying to kill you and stuff you inside of one of the animatronics. It's classic. It's something that we could have all suffered nightmares from after going to that place. Hey, founder of Atari, thanks for all that you did for the video game world. So it works. It's a really, I'll give it to him. It was fatty. It was like, I don't know if I want to get into this, kind of like Among Us or Undertale. That world, although Undertale's a much more meaty game. But it's kind of existed in that world where it's like, oh, these are the type of people that are into this. But that character and this series still kind of exists in that place where it's like memeable, but there's a lot of people that play it on Twitch. So Freddy is a bear.
He is a bear.
And he's super terrifying if he catches you when you're on the night shift at Freddy's.
Yeah.
You walk around in there, and if he catches you, you have no chance of escape, and you're gonna get stuffed inside of a suit, and they're gonna pull the whole one of us scenario, and you will forever be. And I think that this is the case for some of the other animatronics as well, where I guess you will ultimately possess the animatronic. So at least you got that going for you.
The lore is complicated. which I didn't think would be the case when the first game came out. I didn't think it would get sequels because like I knew the game when it first came out. I was like, okay, that's the game, sure. And then years later, it's like, what do you mean there's a fourth Five Nights at Freddy's? What? What do you mean there's a second and a third? What? I was shocked. I was stunned. I was flabbergasted. But we'll get there, because there is potential for Freddy. There is. I've put a little bit of thought of it into the past, but I haven't come up with anything solid. But I put some thought into things. As far as Freddy's opponent, though, this here is Sissel from Ghost Trick. You start out the game dead. You just got killed, or have been killed. You're not really sure how long ago you were killed, but you've been killed. And you become a ghost, and you can possess objects and cause things to happen. Like you can turn a fan on and off. You can cause a little lamp to swivel from one side to the other. You can jump from one object to another as long as it's within a certain range. And the whole game is about trying to save people from death. Because if somebody dies, you can enter their body, and you can go back, I think it's 7 minutes or 6 minutes or something before they died. Something to that effect. It's been a bit since I played it. You can try and change events so that they survive this time around. And you have infinite retries, which is really nice. That's nice. Because, I mean, the character can die, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to repossess them again and go back 6 minutes once more. Got it. Pretty cool that they can do that. And that's kind of whole Sissel's journey. Like, he starts out just being like, okay, sure, I'll help people, but honestly, I more care about who I am. Because who am I? I don't remember. All I know is that that's my body and my name is Sissel. And I don't even remember how he knows that much. Because at first he's just like, who am I? I don't remember my name. But then he's like, oh, I guess I'm Sissel. For some reason, I just don't remember. But it's a really fun game because then you get told, like, okay, sure, you can do that. But when the next morning comes, you're going to go away. Your ghostly existence will fade away. So you might as well save people. It's like, oh, all right, I guess. And you end up saving a few people, one person, multiple times. But the hard thing with Sissel is making him unplayable because he is a ghost that possesses objects. And I've thought about it, and I'm not sure yet how to do a moveset for him.
Yeah, Ghost Trick is a really, really good game. I played it back on the DS way back in the day now. It's a really fun puzzle game. I don't think anything like it's ever been made since, and it's developed enough of a cult following in recent years to just get remade and made.
Same
and remade
maker as Ace Attorney.
Yep. I can see that. Works. There's even a character that
there's a character that there's a pair of detectives that look like Phoenix and Edgeworth. And then the little dog is Missile, and there's also a Missile dog in Ace Attorney. So
Yep. Good times. No Gumshoe though. Where are you?
I'm right here. So looking at these two characters here, we've got honestly, Freddy is a bit of a horror game, an indie horror game icon, maybe. I'm not sure what other indie horror games there really are outside of like a few things that Aza has talked about, like Omori and Ib, but I'm not super familiar with them. But Freddy, I think it's fairly safe to say, is the indie horror game icon. He is the guy.
He's the guy. Omori is great or whatever, but he is the guy that when you ask a normie, like, oh, do you know Five Nights at Freddy's? There's a very good chance, comparatively, that they will know him.
Right.
Or at least know his design or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And in most of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, he is a villain. Not necessarily because like he's a bad guy, but he's just like an animatronic who is what's the right word here? Corrupted, I think is a good word. Because all the animatronics, there's lore about how like the previous owner of the restaurant died in a fire or something, and his dark spirit is what is causing all this shit to happen. Yeah, not kidding. That's pretty much the lore behind it all. And in most games, you're just a security guard trying to survive the night, work in security, but the animatronics, they want to put you they want to make you a meat puppet, which is really disturbing. But then there's other games like FNAF World, which is apparently like chibi-esque, and it's some kind of like adventure game or RPG adjacent or something. And each character has different attacks that they can use. Like Freddy has mic toss, where he throws his microphone. He has pizza wheel, where he throws out a stampede of pizzas. He has an attack called birthday, which I'm assuming is him singing happy birthday, and it can increase stats. And then there are different versions of Freddy that are also in that game that have like their own attacks. Like there's Withered Freddy that also has Gloom Song and Escape Key. One of his attacks called Escape Key. Okay, has a chance to instant kill multiple opponents. Sure. Nightmare Freddy looks like a nightmare, that's for damn sure. And one of his attacks is called Bite 2.
Oh.
And then he has a sludge attack, and he can summon an army of Freddys. But then the real big one is Glamrock Freddy, who is from the most recent Freddy game. I'm trying to get its name here. Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. This one is actually, I've actually seen Curbwalker. He actually streamed himself playing through this whole game. And it's different than pretty much all the other Freddy games, because instead of you're being a security guard who's trying to survive the night from the animatronics, instead you're a little kid who got locked in. And there's a security guard who's trying to find you, but they're also pretty fucking sus. And Freddy is your friend. Freddy protects you from the security guard and the other animatronics who are also hunting for you. Why Freddy can't be controlled by this lady, the security guard, we don't really know. This other security guard might also be one of the overall series villains. The lore is wild again. But Freddy, like, he can hide. The little kid can fit inside of Freddy's chest cavity, which is a really weird sentence. But it protects the kid from most of the animatronics. And then Freddy can upgrade himself with Chica's vocal cords so he can scream, and get Monty's claw to tear down barriers. You can get Roxy's eyes that see hidden shit. And then the little kid can also get like a little like a laser tag gun, which can stun animatronics. Yeah. So Freddy could even have something with that.
Freaky.
Yeah, honestly. And then Sissel. So like it's like both of these characters, I've thought about how to do a moveset for them, and both of them are just like, what is the best way to work on you? I'm honestly not sure. These are both complex characters to try and make into a fighting game. Freddy, he's got his various forms, but also just like, how do you make him scary in Smash, while also still being like making him work as a fighter? Sissel, the bigger problem is like, okay, we should not see Sissel punching and kicking, but we also shouldn't really see him in human form. You only see Sissel in human form with his dead body, or just like in the talk bubbles. That's the only time you should be seeing Sissel in human form. So put him in Smash, how do you do that? The best way I have thought of is to actually have the playable character be Lynn, the character that he teams up with and saves more often than not. And Sissel is just there, kind of in the background, with not like Pokemon Trainer in the background, but he's in ghost form. He's possessing objects around Lynn. You can also possess the people, but he doesn't really control them. He can only possess them and then talk to them unless they're unconscious. Then he can do weird shit. That's a sentence as well. But like, you could have a lamp appear in front of Lynn. It's kind of like swings forwards, I guess, or a spring that appears and Lynn jumps on top of it to spring up into the air. I don't know. That's the best way I've thought of to try and represent Sissel in Smash. And it's still weird because you would be calling it Sissel, but it's Lynn. So maybe you call it like Sissel and Lynn or something. Like a Rosalina and Luma.
Right. Potentially even Lynn and Sissel. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Sissel can control the environment, and then you just bring up stuff from the game. There's numerous objects that you can manipulate to try and prevent people's deaths. More often than not, Lynn's.
Yeah.
I'm going over, because there's no way I could have figured this out in the time for this episode. Carnival Mastermind on the Smash Brothers subreddit came up with a very detailed Sissel moveset.
Okay.
I believe that he is using the body that you see at the start of the game, so that would be different in our version. But the general idea of manipulating objects is the same, so it's still potentially valid to this conversation. Where he's using a crane with several boxes to attack opponents, a wrecking ball, an umbrella, an hourglass, a chandelier. For his standard special, he uses a gun.
All right, Joker.
A water fountain to spray him up in the air, a submarine missile to do a thing, 2 telephones pop out on the stage, 1 on the end platform Sissel's facing, and 1 in the right in front of Sissel. Sissel pops into the telephone, and a blue line connects the 2 telephones before he quickly pops out of the other one. Could be
Makes
an
sense.
interesting down or up.
That's a teleport up special.
They have it down as a down, which is interesting.
No.
And then the up is the waterfall, is the water fountain.
Actually, what I would do with the up is I would bring in Missile. Because spoilers. Missile's ghost ability, because different ghosts have different abilities. Sissel can just like activate objects, but Missile can swap objects places so long as they have the same shape. So all of a sudden, Lynn is sitting on top of like a beach ball, and then there's a bowling ball up in the air. Swap places. There's your teleport for Lynn and Sissel.
There you go.
Or Lynn, Sissel, and Missile.
There's some seriously heavy spoilers in the final Smash. I'm going to just say it involves a meteor.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
Yep. So there's precedent, I think. I mean, there's enough here where you could say, oh, it's like when we went over Pigma. It's like, okay, somebody else came up with something, use that as a basis and kind of just go from there. So at least there's a precedent for other people in the community having decided. Freddy, I think you lean into Pizza World. You use his various special moves that he gets from the other animatronics that you're talking about. Otherwise, I think a very standard move, and one that I've seen, Googling, that seems to be pretty universal amongst Freddy's fans, is having a jump scare be a special move, which I think is pretty appropriate.
I just don't know how you do it. Like, outside of a Final Smash, I don't know how you really use a jump scare. So I've seen some people saying like, oh, it's a down special counter. It's like, I guess.
Yeah, or you just scream to stun opponents. You just go, ah!
Yeah. Like, you could just have the final special just be like, okay, characters are running around in this area. It's a dark spooky. And then Freddy doesn't do anything to them. He just jump scares the player. He does his jump scare over the screen. And it just, like, psychological damage, I guess.
Freddy collects all the characters and puts them in an animatronic, and it's very, very disturbing to see it happen. Luigi's there. It's kind of like the Dr. Mario one at Final Smash that I came up with.
Like, I've looked up a few movesets, and I've seen like a lot of people saying mic toss. I'm seeing the pizza wheel, jump scare, turning into a ghost and haunting, and just being a ghost and fly up, I guess. Okay. Power goes out, and then it's like nighttime terror shit. You don't really see what happens. You just hear screaming. All right. Apparently, there's like a haywire rush. He just charges up with, he glitches out and gets all staticky, and he rushes forwards.
Yeah. That could be either a side special or just like a side attack.
Yeah. Dash attack.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yep. Yeah, there's certainly things for the character as well. You're taking. Ghost Trick is Capcom, but I think Freddy Five Nights at Freddy, even being an indie game, is more popular. It's kind of outlasted
Yeah.
Ghost Trick in a number of ways.
I mean, it's
So
hard.
the
It's hard to
fan-
follow up
yeah.
on Ghost Trick with the way that game ends. You really can't do a sequel. It's not possible.
Yeah. The fans would rally behind Freddy. I could see a world where it happens. It's not a very likely world, but it's not totally unfeasible.
It's better odds than Bad Mr. Frosty.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's better odds than Sissel. But we're not here to say, oh, this character's more likely.
True.
We're here to say which one do we prefer, and I'm thinking about it. I think I'm pretty sure about my vote at this point.
Like I know which character of these two I would prefer, but I could honestly see. I think the chances for either of them truly happening are low, but if either of them did happen, I'll just be like, yeah, this works. I think overall the fan base would definitely say Freddy, though. Like the Smash community in general, I think that Sissel's not very well known. He's not. Freddy is well known, and I don't know if Nintendo really knows him, but he's well known in the gaming community.
Yeah. Yeah, he's up there in the upper echelons of indie characters. He's there with Quote and Curly, Shantae, Shovel Knight, various other characters. He's upper rung as far as the indies are concerned.
Yeah.
Undertale Sans Undertale, whatever you call him these days. But it's a hard press to tear my vote away from Sissel.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to give... I kind of went into this assuming I would probably vote Sissel, but I wanted to give Freddy a fair shot. Because one, he is popular, and two, I didn't even know how many fucking Freddy games there were until preparing for this episode. I was like, holy shit, there's even more than I thought there were. Good God.
Yeah.
But again, because like I watched the Mega Pizzaplex game when Fair Walker streamed it, and I was like, this kind of gives some ideas, and it made me start actually considering the character. But it's hard to make him work. It's hard to make Sissel work. It's hard to make both of them work. But yeah, I think I would be much more interested in seeing Sissel personally.
It's hard to make either of them work, but the concept of Sissel is more intriguing to me than Freddy. Having a character who's a ghost who can possess things and help the character he's trailing is slightly more interesting to me than animatronic bear. And seeing the movesets other people have come up with online, that reinforced my opinion.
Yeah.
I do think Freddy's creators and Sakurai could collaborate to make a very impressive moveset. We're just not seeing it from the community right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be mad if Freddy made it in. I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised and confused and a little scared because look at him. But I think I would play as the character often enough. It's a cool troll just for the way he looks and would act.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, respect on Freddy's name, but yeah, I'm gonna go Sissel for this one, and it's absolutely personal bias, and that's kind of the name of the game as opposed to Rate Their Chances, which is more analytical.
Yep, that's why we introduced Rate Their Chances, because Smash Dash has always been our personal biases coming into play. Like we try to give characters as much of a fair chance as we can, but at the end of the day, it is who we would want to see. And that's kind of the whole thing.
In the last Master Dash, it was on the fly research and discussion that made us choose Pigma. So,
honestly. Yeah. And sometimes that's led to our best Smasher Dash. It's just like when things go very what's the word I'm looking for here? Whimsical, I guess, where we're just like we uncover something new. It's like, oh, we didn't think about that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with these two, yeah.
Yeah, I knew coming into it, but I did want to give him his fair shake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we've talked about ghosts. We've talked about demons. We've talked about vampires and sort of zombies. But there's two big other types of monsters that we haven't even covered yet.
Talked about bad Mr. Frost. Oh yeah.
We did. We really did. But now for our second Smash Death matchup, let's go ahead and chat about Sir Daniel Fortescue, skeleton extraordinaire, versus Sabrewulf, the werewolf from Killer Instinct.
Doesn't.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us
This
about
pop.
Sabrewulf there, Jonno?
Sabrewulf is from Killer Instinct. As you said, it's kind of, I believe it's a Microsoft.
Not to be confused with the Sabrewulf character from the game Sabrewulf. This is a different Sabrewulf.
Yeah, this Sabrewulf is more like John Talbane dunked into some poison.
Yeah, that's fair.
Essentially. Yeah, so Sabrewulf from Killer Instinct, which is, again, it's a fighting game that's kind of the platform fighting title for Xbox. He starts out as a regular werewolf. There's some experiments that go on. His full name is Konrad von Sabrewulf, by the way.
That is so much more impressive to pit against Sir Daniel Fortesque, Konrad von Sabrewulf. It's like, fuck, alright.
Yep. Following his experiments, he gains cybernetic powers. He has like electricity pulsing through his claws, and his body changes to the extent that you could see like the cybernetics pulsing in his chest and his arms. He the glow. They went very Xbox with his aesthetic in later games when this happens. It's very Xbox green and Xbox black. I feel like that was probably intentional.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, apparently this was in 1994, so it predates the Xbox a little bit.
It was fuck, I forgot their name. Rare made the original.
Oh
Killer
yeah.
Instinct. So
that makes sense. That's why it's Xbox exclusive now. Maybe not for that much longer with that recent deal.
Who knows?
Nintendo. Yeah, I mean they're interesting games. He's a werewolf with robot powers, so I mean there's something in here that makes him a little bit different from the average werewolf. And he's one of the primary characters in the game. So again, good choice out of the random fighting game pool. Baron Konrad von Sabrewulf, I'm sorry.
oh my god, he's a Baron.
Konrad with a K.
All right. Look at that. So, up against him, we have Sir Daniel Fortesque, who is an undead warrior and hero of Gallowmere. When he was alive, he led the charge against the evil sorcerer Zarok, and according to the legend, personally slayed Zarok and stayed the kingdom, though he did eventually fall. But in reality, when he was leading the charge and Zarok's forces that initial, shoot the arrows up in the air to try and cut down the invading army, yeah, he died in that initial rain of arrows.
Oh, sweet
So
baby.
much for the legendary hero, huh? That's why Sir Daniel Fortesque only has one eye left.
Yes, he does.
And,
yes, he does.
But then, legends get written, and the legends say he saved the day. So he's there in the Hall of Heroes for the Graveyard Crypt, even though the actual real heroes don't respect him for it. But Zarok comes back, and through magic, Sir Daniel Fortesque is arisen where he must defeat Zarok once again? ? But he's not brought back to flesh and blood. Nope, he's a skeleton. He's also missing his lower jaw, so he has a real hard time speaking to people. It's kind of funny sounding, honestly. But as he goes through the game, he'll gain different abilities. He can get different weapon upgrades, more powerful swords, shields. He gets a dashing attack. He can actually take off one of his arms and use it as a battering weapon. He gets a club he can use. He's actually got a sequel game where he wakes up again inside of a museum and has to stop a guy who has and there's a time machine involved, and it's a thing.
Ben Stiller's there.
What?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm trying to find like what the other things he gets in the game are, because I watched both the games and the remake months ago, but I've forgotten a lot since then. It happens.
He has a battle axe and a warhammer,
Yeah.
a magic sword, the Anubis stone, perhaps.
There's throwing daggers. He's got a chicken drumstick. Really? There's lightning. There's crossbows, spear, and then there's runes. But I don't remember these runes. What are those doing with anything? What?
I don't know.
Rune stones. They're in the first game in Resurrection. It's actually been remade twice, actually. I don't see it saying what they do, so they might just be collectibles. I feel like they do something. I just don't see an effect written on here. Huh.
Happens sometimes.
Oh, it
With
looks
these
like
wikis.
it's like opening up gates and shit. Okay.
Oh,
A little boring.
All right.
All right. But yeah, it's like he upgrades his weapons to different types as he goes through, before he gets other techniques and shit. And I'm trying to find, like, I know there's a few more, but some of the heroes that he can talk to in like the Hall of Heroes, because it's just like these statues of these legendary heroes, they just talk so much shit about him. It's like, dude, you don't deserve to be here. They should have resurrected any of the rest of us except for you. But for some reason, the historians fucked up. And they made you be the hero. It's crazy.
He semi-redeems himself.
He does. No, he redeems himself. He absolutely does by the end. Because he does defeat Zarok in the end. And in the sequel, he defeats the villain in that game and he gets his little happy ending. But
Better than some history that I've read in actual history books.
oof,
Yeah.
bad. All right, so yeah. One of the weapons he has, like, he gets a chalice that can like shoot lightning. So, and a glove that can shoot lightning. One of them is for dealing damage. The other one is for healing, apparently. So,
Okay.
lightning, it's a thing.
Interesting. All right, I feel you. I feel you.
We got a werewolf versus a skeleton here. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, so Sir Daniel, he's from kind of a 3D beat 'em up kind of game, arena fighter. I would arguably say, with the way you progress from area to area,
It's
ish.
Crash Bandicoot-esque. It's as in it's a level by level. You're in a little 3D setting, but you're not like spinning around collecting crates. You're slaying enemies with your sword.
Yeah. So, and it's a classic of that era of the 3D platform era, and it was resurrected per se for PS4 with a remaster. So he's still fairly well regarded in the eyes of gamers from that period, including us. Sabrewulf came around the same time, rare property in the arcades, then later in the Xbox, and is a well-respected character in the fighting community as well. And he's pretty damn cool in the grand scope of like, okay, here's all of these fighting characters. This one's a werewolf that's also cybernetic for some reason. But looking at the gameplay trailers of the recent Killer Instinct before we did this episode, Sabrewulf's output may be seen as limited compared to Sir Daniel. He has a number of weapons and whatnot to draw from, and it just kind of comes from that kind of beat 'em uppy platformer, especially of the times. You're going to get a lot of different weapons and ideas thrown at you.
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that you can argue that some of the characters in Smash already, like Marth, who are more focused in their design, are more perennial characters than some of the characters that have just everything thrown into their moveset. So while Sir Daniel may have a more interesting moveset, Sabrewulf might be the character that people gravitate towards a little more, might feel better to play as despite being less interesting. Because I draw towards characters who are like Ike or Ganondorf, who are heavy hitters, so you can feel how visceral their attacks are. Yeah, so that's always really good to me. So I could see playing a Sabrewulf in Smash, having this kind of Blanca-esque fighter where a lot of what you're doing is very melee impact. You're coming in to scratch the crap out of your opponents, and are just doing these like medieval, brutal moves, dishing out on them primarily with your claws, stamping them with your feet, spinning into them in like a ball of electricity. There's room there to argue for Sabrewulf. His final smash can be fairly brutal too. We can incorporate his teeth.
Rip and
call
tear.
it a day. Yep. Rip and tear. So that's exactly the kind of character Sabrewulf is. He's a traditional fighting game character, an archetype of Killer Instinct, one of the fan favorite characters of the game, because he is so. His moveset is very key to a fighting game. It's not he's the Shoto of monsters, but not a Shoto.
Oh my!
I'm trying to say that his moveset is that ubiquitous. Is what I'm trying to say. Like it's the standard for Killer Instinct, or it's up there along with like Fulgore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think Fulgore is like the quote unquote main for
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
games.
What's funny is there is a skeleton knight whose name I forget in Killer Instinct as well.
Spinal.
Yeah, that's right.
I think he was considered for this episode as well, but we were having trouble with werewolves. It's like, all right, Sabrewulf.
Could have been Talbane, but I don't remember why we
do what?
Yeah, it could have been Talbane if we went Spinal, but I think this is more interesting. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I didn't even think about Talbane until you were just like, yeah, he's kind of the Talbane. It's like, oh. Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Happens.
It
Happens.
does.
But Sabrewulf, I mean, he's arguably more central to the game than Talbane is, so maybe he's a better choice regardless.
Quite possible.
But and yeah, that's his character though. I mean, it's very. Honestly, too, watching some of the gameplay videos, he reminds me of those enemies from Resident Evil that are part of the takeover of Raccoon City. The green ones with the claws, if you recall from your watches. Yeah, he reminds me of those.
Familiar.
Reminds me of those. Versus Sir Daniel. So Sir Daniel has more to him. Might be a little more unfocused as far as because of the moveset variety. And Sabrewulf is the exact opposite type of character. You know exactly what you're getting, and that is a very brutal, straightforward melee fighter. Who I'm assuming, it's a fighting game character. The traditional fighting games have all those unique inputs, so I say standard, but he's probably going to have like 4 times as many moves as Sir Daniel.
I really hope that if Sakurai does add more traditional fighting game characters to Smash, don't give all of them the traditional fighting game combo system, because after a while it's going to feel, it's not going to feel special anymore. Sure. Like they didn't do it for Ryu, really. They only gave Ryu like combos for his special moves, and that I'm less, like a thing against. Because like, okay, you can have a way to like power them up, but then with Kazuya, it's just like, all right, we gave you all of your moves. It's like,
completely invalidated Heihachi.
Yeah, like it really did. Because they still could have done Heihachi in theory, but never going to happen now. Why? What's the point? But you talked about how, like, Sabrewulf is a fighting game character from Killer Instinct, but Sir Daniel Fortesque is also a fighting game character.
Yeah, PlayStation All Stars Battle
All
Royale.
Stars, yes.
Mhm.
And, you know, looking at his moves there have helped remind me of like some of the things that Daniel has in medieval. Like, of course, you know, there's sword slashes and a battle axarang. He's got his magic bow that he can fire off, a hammer attack. He can whip out the golden shield either for like a defensive option or even like a shield bash. He has the dragon potion, which when you drink it, changes his appearance and he wears like this more draconic armor. And he's got like a whole, like a kind of like a dragon mask type of deal. And he has resistance against fire and he can breathe fire. So you could do some stuff with that. Maybe that's going to be like a meter or something, kind of like, you know, Cloud's Limit Break or Joker's Rebel's Guard. They could do something along those lines. Could even be the final smash. But then he's also got... Oh, I just closed that, which is what I wanted to look at. Cool. Hate when you do that, you know? That always sucks. He's also... There's the lightning bolt that he can, you know, he can shoot lightning bolts. There's a golden... And the lightning bolt is because in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, you have like 3 of your super moves, which is your final smash. And his level 1 is the lightning bolt. His level 2 is the golden chalice. Golden chalices you have to earn in each different level of medieval by killing a required number of enemies. And what you do, you know, you can take the chalice to the Hall of Heroes, and you can use it to. That's how you get different abilities or upgrade your weapons, because you'll talk to the different statues, and they'll be like, "All right, you've impressed me with your chalices. I'll give you something here. Still don't like you though." But also, he's able to use it to summon the Knights of Galamir in the end and rally them to his side. So that's cool. And in Medieval 2, the chalices can be used to create whole new weapons that he is able to wield in that game. But then his level 3 is the Anubis Stone, which is a powerful artifact that I thought I had the link for, but I guess I'll just type it in again. Sucks. And it's like it's this large jewel that's like it's like a kite shield. Maybe not quite like castle, but it looks like a large shield. Like you could compare that to, but it's this giant gem, and it's this words. Daniel Fortesque has to refine the 4 pieces of it, put it back together, and then use it against Zarok, because it's the only thing he'll be able to use to defeat Zarok for good. And it lets him summon... Oh, wait. What? Oh, wow. There was going to be a new Medieval 3 game at one point, and it got killed off. Curious.
Oh. Yeah.
But with it, he's able to, again, you know, summon soldiers to fight alongside him against Zarok. And he can even use a stone to channel his own life force, which is weird because he's a undead skeleton, to further aid those warriors and heal them, which is wild.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a lot that he has going on, and let me see if I get the acronym right.
PSABR. Yeah.
God.
And like, just... and in PlayStation All-Stars, the way it's used there, because I was able to finally track that down, he basically just creates like a large force field around himself, and any opponents that are caught inside the field can't dodge. So that sucks. They're unable to roll, and they eventually get KO'd. Right. But Daniel Fortescue can only... It's basically, they spend too long in this field, they just instantly die. Because that's how PlayStation All-Stars works. But he can slowly walk around with it and jump, but he can't attack while he's holding it up and moving the field around. I'm trying to see how the other ones work in PSAVR. Golden Chalice holds it up, and then souls come flying out of it, and they just start homing on opponents and just rush towards them. And then for Lightning Bolt, yeah. Lightning Bolt, he shoots a Lightning Bolt in a straight line in front of him. But you can angle it to go diagonally. That's really all that one is.
It's like Thor on 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sabrewulf, comparatively, he doesn't have all that much more. He does have a number of finishing moves that normally just involve him like massively swiping the screen. I think he can, and then cheesily looking at it afterwards. They're like PG-13 version of fatalities from Mortal Kombat. Which are fairly, I mean, they're fairly entertaining. He's just cheesing and panting towards the screen after murdering somebody. And he has an instinct mode technique, which could be an extra skill in the Smashtopia lexicon.
Yeah.
Or something else, just a meter or something like Little Max and Smash Proper. Where you get up to a certain point and his arms swell after attacking enough and makes his attacks do more damage. So that's where the cybernetic energy comes into play.
So he pulls a Bane.
Yeah, he is a big guy for you. Yeah. That's what I said about Bane himself. So, I mean, but the character is what you get. It's a lot less to deal with. I do think he would be a fun character to play as in Smash. I'd kind of be like, what the hell is he doing here?
Yeah. Any Killer Instinct character would honestly be surprising because, like, yeah, there are more fighting games that we can add in Smash post Tekken, Street Fighter, and Fatal Fury, but Killer Instinct would not be one of the ones that I jump to as the next one. It'd be either something like Soul Calibur or even Darkstalkers.
Virtua Fighter. Then you get into
Honestly,
Blaze Blue.
Oh right, like I knew I was forgetting some big ones. Blaze Blue.
Guilty Gear.
Guilty Gear, thank you. That's the one I was trying to think of.
Other SNK titles. There's like numerous other SNK titles. Samurai Showdown.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Not to say it's not a good series, but it's just like in the scope of things. You look at Microsoft.
Comparatively.
Even just looking at Rare's titles, there's still other things to pull from. But again, I've progressively warmed up towards the character in this conversation. I would not be mad. I guess I would just be like,
confused.
Weird. Now, yeah, confused. Yeah. Now let's go play as him because it would be kind of entertaining.
Yeah. Similarly, if Sir Daniel Fortescue got in, I'll just be like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Would never have guessed.
No.
Never would not make. None of the characters that we discussed today, except for Marks and maybe Frank West, would be any characters that I would actually seriously predict in Smash. Oh,
Alucard?
Right, Alucard. Yeah. I knew I was forgetting somebody, but none of the ones on the Smash or Dash side of things. It'd be like, no fucking way.
That's fair, because on Daniel's side, you have other Sony characters, like so many other Sony characters.
Yeah, Kratos.
Sorry, Kratos. We chose Sir Daniel Fortesque.
To be fair, I don't think Kratos is owned by Sony, so.
Oh, is he not?
I don't think so. Oh, nope, never mind.
Yeah.
No, yeah, owned by Sony. All right, but it's medieval.
I love that after we had this, like the first Google result for me is Sony Computer Entertainment America trademarks the name Kratos.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So the actual developers that made Medieval. Well, that made the new Medieval. Oh, so they didn't make the original game. So who made the original game? Okay, yeah, he is a Sony. He's a Sony too. Because the original developer was SCE Studios. Like, all right, so that's Sony.
Right. Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, I would suspect Kratos before him.
Yeah, easily.
Nathan Drake, potentially Ellie, Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sackboy,
Spyro, Crash, Sly Cooper, Fat Princess.
Yeah. Okay.
Sony.
Funnily enough, Spyro and Crash are Microsoft now.
Maybe.
They're about to be. Yep.
Maybe.
Yep.
We
Yep.
don't know yet.
It's better than being Activision.
Oof.
Better than Activision. Uh-huh. Fuck Activision.
Seriously.
But yeah, all that said, the likelihood ain't why we're here. Let's rate their chances. So which character do we want to put in?
Well, yeah.
I wish it weren't easy. Like, both of these were just so, like, tell me why it shouldn't be Sir Daniel. To be honest.
Because he's weird.
Yeah.
He's a comedy
Sabrewulf.
character.
Yeah. Oh, well, I want a comedy character in the game.
Oh,
Let's do
fuck.
it.
That's... Uh-oh.
Um,
Because he's not a real hero, and he's a fuck-up.
That's interesting. Okay.
Fuck. I got nothing.
Yeah. Tell me why Sabrewulf should be in over him.
Easier to make a moveset for.
That's
Just
true.
go wild with, like, alright, furry frenzy attack, go.
Mm-hmm. He would be really cool to play as, but honestly, like, the design is giving me, like, generic enemy vibes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, he looks like a character, like, he looks like the werewolf from Castlevania.
Here's a reason to put in Sabrewulf over Sir Daniel Fortesque, because Sony doesn't know how to play nice.
Well, yeah, that's precisely why Sabrewulf has a better chance of probably any Sony character.
That's why they announced that Nintendo's going to get Microsoft games for the next 10 years, and Sony ain't going to get shit. Because Sony wouldn't even connect to Minecraft with them. It's wild. It's wild. The friendship Nintendo and Microsoft has made while Sony is off being the kid in the corner. It's like, I'm better.
So,
Like, are you
I
at
remember this
point?
being over crossplay with Rocket League. You know, it's developed into so much worse than this.
Yeah.
They always have their little issues.
Mm-hmm.
People like to harp on Nintendo a lot, and to be fair, a lot of it is warranted. Ultimately, these are just corporations, though, and when you singularly bash Nintendo for their corporate failings, I would like to direct you towards Sony.
Yeah.
Microsoft, I mean, they're playing an interesting game because there's not really literally anything that I would buy an Xbox Series X or S for.
Yeah.
But
anything I might want to play on
they're
Xbox
nice.
is also in PC. So it's like, why would I buy an Xbox?
It's interesting. They're becoming so ubiquitous. They're like, the Xbox is like going the way of the DVD player. They're like, yeah, do
And
whatever,
it's their
you
own
can do whatever
fault.
you want with this system. They're like, you can do this. You can watch a movie on your Xbox, but you can also watch it on your TV through streaming or on a.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Like, what their strategy with the Xbox console, I just don't understand it. It's like, what are you doing? Seriously.
Yeah, if you want an Xbox, why don't you just get a Steam Deck or just play on your computer?
Honestly.
I get it, brand nostalgia, but the last couple generations for Microsoft have been weak. But it's better than Sony. Not from a game perspective, but from a being a good company perspective.
Oof.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So.
Sony are the elitist in this situation. Nintendo is the grandma.
Back in my day, we had playing cards and ultra hands and love hotels. Okay, Grandpa, get back to bed.
Boy.
Anywho, bringing it back, we kind of wrap things up here. So we're saying Sir Daniel over Sabrewulf?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That puts our two winners of today's Smashers episode as Sissel from Ghost Trick and Sir Daniel Fortescue of Medieval, a ghost and a skeleton. And they will reappear in this season's Tournament of Champions. How well will either of them do? Fuck if I know, man.
That's pretty interesting. We chose out of the all of them. It was the stages of human decomposition that beat the animal.
Yeah.
In both of them.
And one of these I have a moveset for in the Smashtopia. Wait, no, I don't. I have a stage on the Smashtopia wiki for Sir Daniel Fortesque. Eventually, I would like to make a character out of him, but I haven't gotten there yet. But have I done that one on the podcast yet? I can't remember if I did a showcase for that one or not yet. I know I wanted to. If I haven't, I need to.
Don't think you did. Well, fun times. Happy Halloween.
Several months later.
Yep.
All right, with that, we're out. We're done with this one. Next time, oh shit. Oh shit. Because you see, when this episode airs, the Super Mario Bros. Movie will have released. However, next episode is going to be the first on topic since the movie released, and we're going to be talking about it. The whole episode is going to be at the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and possibly, you know, where they might take things from here, because movie's not out yet for us. We haven't seen it. We're hoping to record it as soon after we've seen it as possible to keep, like, you know, those fresh feelings and thoughts. We'll see how things wind up going for us. We might speculate on a whole Nintendo Cinematic Universe. Who knows? But yeah. I'm honestly super excited for the movie. There's still, you know, some questions for the trailers about, you know, in particular, like some of the casting. But, you know, movie's almost here. We'll see what it's like. I'm hyped.
He was Andy Dwyer. He was Owen Grady. He was Peter Quill. And now...
Isn't he also Emmett?
He's Mario. Yeah. And he's just a pretty cool guy, don't you know?
Garfield.
That's why he was also cast as Garfield.
I knew it! I knew it! I was like, there's no way we're not going Garfield here! There's no fucking way!
But yeah, we'll catch you after we see the movie.
Hell yeah.
Movie.
See you all then, everyone.